Italian-occupied France was an area of southeastern France and Monaco occupied by the Kingdom of Italy between 1940 and 1943 in parallel to the German occupation of France. The initial Italian occupation of France territory occurred in June 1940, it was then expanded in November 1942. The German offensive against the Low Countries and France began on 10 May and by the middle of May German forces were on French soil. By the start of June, British forces were evacuating from the pocket in northern France. On June 10, 1940, Italy declared war against the French and British. 10 days later, the Italian army invaded France. On June 24, 1940, after the fall of France, Italy and France signed the Franco-Italian Armistice, 2 days after the cessation of hostilities between France and Germany, agreeing upon an Italian zone of occupation. This initial zone of occupation annexed officially to the Kingdom of Italy was 832 square kilometers, 321 square miles, and contained 28,500 inhabitants. The largest town contained within the initial Italian zone of occupation was Mentone. The main city inside the demilitarized zone of 50 kilometers, 31 miles, from the former border with the Italian Alpine Wall was Nice. In November 1942, in conjunction with Case Anton, the German occupation of most of Vichy France, the Royal Italian Army, Regio Esercito, expanded its occupation zone. Italian forces took control of Toulon and all of Provence up to the River Rhône, with the island of Corsica, claimed by the Italian irredentists. Nice and Corsica were to be annexed to Italy, as had happened in 1940 with Mentone, in order to fulfill the aspirations of Italian irredentists, including local groups such as the Nizzardo Italians and the Corsican Italians. But this was not completed because of the Italian armistice in September 1943 when the Germans took over the Italian occupation zones. The area of southeast France actually occupied by the Italians has been disputed. A study of the postal history of the region has cast new light on the part of France controlled by the Italians and the Germans, Trapnell, 2014. By studying mail that had been censored by the occupying power, this study showed that the Italians occupied the eastern part up to a line joining Toulon, Gap, Grenoble, Chambéry, Annecy, Geneva. Places occupied by the Italians west of this were few or transitory. The Italian Army of Occupation in southern France in November 1942 was made up of 4 infantry divisions with 136,000 soldiers and 6,000 officers, while in Corsica there were 66,000 soldiers with 3,000 officers. 6. There was virtually no guerrilla war against the Italians in France until summer 1943. The Vichy regime that controlled southern France was friendly toward Italy, seeking concessions of the sort Germany would never make in its occupation zone.